This screencast goes over how to factor x squared plus bx plus c. This is when a is 1. The idea here is we are reversing the multiplication process. Remember that when we multiplied x plus 3 times x plus 7, for example, we got x squared plus 7x plus 3x plus 21. We had to combine like terms, and we got the x squared plus 10x plus 21 that you see there. The number that's in front of x, which we call b, includes the sign, and we call that the add number. The reason we do that is because we add to get this number when we do the multiplication process. The number that is the constant, which is c, we call the multiply number. When we did the multiplication process, we multiplied to get that. So what happens then is if we have x squared plus bx plus c, it factors into x plus r, x plus s, and r plus s ends up adding up to b, and r times s ends up multiplying to give you c. Very, very, very important. Please make sure you multiply back to check that you got the correct answer. Always good to do that. So let's see some examples. The first example we're going to work out is x squared plus 8x plus 15. So the number that I am looking for as my add number is 8. The number I'm looking at as my multiply number is 15. So the question I'm asking myself is, what two numbers multiplied and gave me the answer of 15, and those same two numbers added to give me 8? That's the main question I'm asking myself. Well, the first pair of numbers I think about is 5 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. If I do 5 plus 3, it's 8. So 5 and 3 are my two numbers. Because this is 1x squared, when we set up our parentheses, the only way to multiply to get that is x times x. That's going to change later on when we get to ax squared plus bx plus c. Since we came up with positive 5 and positive 3, we're going to put plus 5 and plus 3 to add to those x's. Let's check them out. X times x is x squared. X times 3 plus 3x. 5 times x plus 5x. 5 times 3 is plus 15. And you'll notice here I have plus 3x plus 5x. Those two numbers do add up to give me the 8x. And we did the 5 times 3 to get 15, so it checks out. Let's look at another one. I have x squared plus 10x plus 21. Again, my add number I am looking at is 10. My multiply number I am looking at is 21. I usually find it easier to start with the multiply number first. What are two numbers that multiply to give me 21 and add up to 10? Well, the first two numbers I think of for multiply to get 21 are 7 and 3. 7 times 3, 21. 7 plus 3 is 10. Looks like I've got a winner there. X plus 7, x plus 3. And it doesn't matter whether I put x plus 7 times x plus 3 or x plus 3 times x plus 7, because multiplication is commutative. X times x is x squared plus a 3x plus a 7x plus a 21. 3 plus 7 is 10x. And that looks like we got a winner there also. Continuing, I have x squared minus 11x plus 30. Now this time you'll notice that my multiplication number is still positive, but unlike in the previous two examples, my addition number is negative. In this case, I'm going to be looking for two negative numbers because a negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative plus a negative is a negative. Well, let's see. When I think of numbers that multiply to give me 30, the first two that come in mind are 6 and 5. Well, 6 times 5 is 30, so that's good, but 6 plus 5 is 11, not negative 11. When that happens, that I get the correct number, but I don't have the correct sign, what that tells me is I need to change my signs, and we change both signs. So we have negative 6 plus negative 5. There's my negative 11. And negative 6 times negative 5 is 30. So we think this factors into x minus 6 times x minus 5, Once again, I'm going to check to make sure I'm good. X times x is x squared. X times a minus 5 is a minus 5x. Negative 6x, negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And negative 6 times negative 5 is positive 30. I do get negative 11 when I combine those like terms, and that's what I originally had. We're good to go. Okay, next example we have is x squared minus 5x plus 6. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to give me 6 and that add up to give me a negative 5. Pardon my typo there. 3 times 2 is 6. Oh wait, but I need a negative 5. So let's make that negative 2 times a negative 3. That gives me the 6 still. Negative 2 plus negative 3 is negative 5. So that's good. Okay, so that's going to factor into x minus 2 times x minus 3. Check it out, make sure we're good. X times x is x squared. X times minus 3 minus 3x. Negative 2 times x is a negative 2x. And negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. Negative 3 minus a 2x gives me a negative 5x. So that's good. X squared plus 3x minus 28. This one looks a little different because my multiplying number this time is a negative instead of a positive. And my add number in this case is positive. Now remember our integer rules. Negative times a positive gives me that negative. When we add, though, the answer takes the sign of the number that would be larger with larger absolute value, or larger if we ignore the sign. So let's think here for a second. 28. 28 is 7 times 4, but I want a negative 28. So one of those has to be negative. But if I look at my end number, I want to end up with a positive answer. So I think I'm going to make my 7 positive and my 4 negative. 7 times negative 4 is negative 28. That's good. 7 plus negative 4, that's positive 3. That's what I've got. Looks good. X plus 7 times x minus 4 is what I think my factoring is. Check it out. X times x, x squared. X times minus 4 is a minus 4x. 7 times an x is plus 7x. And 7 times a negative 4 is a negative 28. Negative 4x plus 7x is positive 3x. Okay, looks like we're good to go. Let's try another one of those. This time I have x squared minus 2x minus 24. Okay, so my add number is negative 2. My multiplying number is negative 24. So again, I need one negative, one positive. 24. Let's try 6 times 4. Oh wait, one of those has to be negative. Which one am I going to make negative? I have a negative 2, so I want my larger one to be negative. Let's see. Negative 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. Negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. That looks good. So let's try it. X minus 6 times x plus 4. And let's check it to make sure. X times x is x squared plus a 4x minus a 6x minus a 24. And when we add negative 4x and negative 6x, we get negative 2x. It checks. And that concludes this lesson. Thank you.